So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here and welcome to our panel discussion on the reality of coastal tourism. With us, our esteemed panelists are Mr. John Miele, who is the sales manager of the APAC region from Alamarin Jet. We have Mr. Prasad Sawant, who's the CEO and MD of Buoyancy Consultants. Our friend, Mr. Suraj Dailani, who is the MD of Marine Shipyard, and as well, Mr. Manish Mhendiratta, right, who is the chairman of Marine Tech Ship Managers and Surveyors, right? Why are we having this discussion? So the burning question is that you have 10.4 million tourists that come into India every year. They spend roughly $27 billion to boost the economy, right? Yet, each of us that are here are still waiting to see the impact of that. So I'd like to throw the question over to you, Suraj. Where do you see this impact being missed in Goa, or a little about how do you see it with coastal tourism?
Coastal tourism in Goa, though we have very good two major rivers where it can be tapped to its fullest potential, is yet limited to very small patches of exploitation of the river. Reason being that people are not wanting to venture out into different classification requirements and norms where it is believed that it increases the price of the vessel, thus making the entire project unviable. But I believe there's not complete awareness of rules and regulations, which are quite liberal right now for coastal tourism. And almost up to 12 nautical miles, your vessels can be built under a very stringent and limited budget. And you can still cater the tourists at a much lower price, per head price on the ticket. But people don't want to venture out into something new because the fear of the unknown is still holding them that, can we really do it or not? And I think maybe a couple of projects happening and you'll see everybody else plunging in for the opportunity.
So, Mahesh, what are your thoughts on that?
As rightly said by Mr. Suraj, it's a price-sensitive market, but the youngsters, the young group, in the age of 20 to 30, they are right. They are more in like of spending. They're working hard full week, and the weekends they want to travel out. So that concept of Goa as a tourist destination with sea is improving day by day. And since we run one passenger vessel between Mumbai Goa, on Fridays it's full. They enjoy that party right from Friday evening. They start their party and continue till Sunday evening, and Monday they're back to work. So really, all the stress. That concept is growing, and it's not only for Mumbai cars. It is basically all over India. This concept is developing now. Yes, so people want to enjoy water now. Earlier they were scared of water, but a lot of quality stuffs have come into picture now, and yeah, people are enjoying it.
So you see that as a growing market?
Yes, it's very growing market. There are a lot of, after introduction of a vessel now, there are many more coming into picture, and you'll find many more serious players are there and going to come up.
Great, thanks for that. So we're
Thank
going to
you.
see, of course, a growing potential. Now, I've heard perspectives from Goa and a little from India. John, I'd like to throw this question open to you. From a worldwide point of view, because you handle much more regions with Alamarin Jet, what do you see is something new we can introduce here that could really, take coastal tourism to a whole new level?
Well, Alamarin Jet, a major market for us is tourism-related boats, particularly safari boats. And safari boats are built specifically for tourism. They effectively make high-speed maneuvers that were designed for developed for military operations, and they basically turned the boat into a floating roller coaster. And I believe you have a video that I gave you that shows this, and that's a growing tourism segment in the marine market. We have equipped maybe 500 or 600 boats like this type of boat all around the world, and it is a growing market. The other segments we see are for tourism, whale watching, animal watching, water taxis, river tours, that type of tourism related to the marine business, and specifically with boat building.
And then Prasad, I think then let me throw the question to you. As a young entrepreneur and a ship designer, uh, what do you see is some of the new trends that should kick off here in India, based on what he says?
Yeah, I think I would like to build up on what Mahesh said. The trend is definitely picking up because the aspirational class who aspires to be on cruise, who wants to experience waters, because we don't have that legacy, right? So it is a new experience that is drawing people towards it, the excitement which is there. But it's very important that it becomes financially viable for the operator, and at the same time, because we have very beautiful construction manufacturing capabilities in India, and because right from FRP, aluminum craft, steel, with jet or with conventional propulsion, all these possibilities already exist in the country. So it is just a matter wherein the economics has to slightly favor to go and be a little bit more creative from the design perspective. The capabilities both from the manufacturing and the design segment exist within the country. And I think if this trend continues to build up, I think it's really going to explode. And I personally feel that more than the cargo movement, the passenger traffic is really going to bring the next boom in the maritime space. And I think that is really the space to watch out for.
So I'd like to throw that same question, picking up on that, Mahesh, to you. Regarding passenger transport, what are some of the areas we as a country should look to develop where passenger transport is concerned?
There was in 80s, there was already this kind of transport existing in between Mumbai and Goa, which we restarted again. Andaman Nicobar is already existing. But there is, like in Calcutta, the Ganges needs to be covered up. Then there is between Chennai to Pondicherry, there's one good area. And if our everything is positive, we should try to cover up that Pamban Pass area. That's a very good area to be covered. And then something between Lakshadweep, transiting Lakshadweep, Goa, Mumbai, Lakshadweep. There are some plans developing. This is the prime area what we are looking at now.
Great. So then, John, picking up on the same avenues that Mahesh has opened up, how do you see us actually having to go ahead and do that?
Well, I can give an example that I know of personally. In Bangkok, the municipal water taxis on the Chao Phraya River, they're used for daily commuting of people to and from work. If those of you who know Bangkok's traffic's about like Mumbai's, it is choking, but the river is not choking. So the municipality in Bangkok has built approximately 40 stations along the river, and there's different boats that ply different routes, but one particular boat is for tourism, and it carries a blue flag, and a tourist buys one low-price ticket, and they can hop on and off the boat at any time for the whole day at any of the 40 some odd stations, and the stations are a total of about 70 kilometers between all of them. So it's quite popular, it's very inexpensive, and it brings the tourists to areas that they might not otherwise see and gives a different view of Bangkok from the river.
Okay. So Suraj, as a shipbuilder, this obviously is an exciting segment for you, right? Can you elaborate a little more on what John said? Is this an exciting segment for you?
Yes, like Mr. John said, it's a very exciting concept. But the challenge in India remains is the coastal regulation zone and the entire nuisances that come along with it. And we still have to see marinas coming up the way they should be coming. Unless we don't have the right infrastructure on the coastline, being able to exploit this huge water resource is going to be a challenge. I would believe that we still have electrical propulsion yet to be introduced into the coastal tourism, which can make the cost of operations much lower. So for coastal tourism, one, we need to have is more boats, for which we need to have marinas. If we can't have marinas, then at least we need to have more boats that have floating accommodation, so that if your city is choked, the hotels are booked, then you can stay off board and then use it to come on the shore and go back. So I think, yes, there's a lot that can still be done by the government from an infrastructure point of view. But I believe if we bring down the operation cost, I think it will kickstart the business in this segment.
So, from a worldview, and gentlemen, any of you can answer. So, from a worldview, what do you think is the immediate requirement that we can, we can start with to really take coastal tourism on a global scale, or from a global perspective, more than what we're just doing? You spoke about regulations, definitely, infrastructure, definitely. Is there something for the immediate present we can do that can expand on this movement?
See, I am personally a strong believer that if you're sleeping on the bunk, you first need to sit up and only then you can stand up. So, global, I feel, is a very fast stretch dream right now for India. I would say let's use our own coastline. There's tremendous potential in our own coastline. I think once we utilize even about 50% of our coastline, we won't have life left for going global. We are enough self-sufficient for our own market. We have one of the biggest markets. We are one of the most promising markets for the world right now. I think we should start looking at ourselves and do what's right to develop our own market. People are wanting to come here. And it will be very unfair if we try to look at going global at this stage. Let's have a good setup here. Let's gain our own experience. Let's learn from the experience of the globe. Visit the places like John rightly said, 70 kilometers, having 40 stations, a single ticket. It's a very good concept. It's working. It can just be copy pasted. I mean, what are you waiting for? If there are some regulations that need to be amended, amend them. If other countries can work, why can't you? You look at Maldives, you look at so many other countries who are making the best use of the coastline. I think it's just time that we start looking and learning.
Thank you, Suraj. Mahesh, your wish list for an immediate turnaround, what is it?
I don't have a wish list now. We are working hard to develop a wish list. But yeah, something very soon you'll see a lot of things coming up. We're working for tourism and water, especially in water.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mahesh. Closing comments, Prasad, same point, wish list?
I think Suraj has touched upon the right points. The boost from the regulatory side to make it a little bit more easier for the private investors to come in to make that development in the ecosystem, because there are a lot of private players who are actually waiting to tap into this segment. Mahesh, of course, is doing a fabulous job between Goa and Mumbai. That vessel has really created the waves and set a benchmark as on date at least. And it has to be built up on that. And I think if there is a boost from the regulatory framework, from the government side, I think there is an immense potential, ocean of opportunities out there. We just need to tap into it.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Same question to you, John?
Well, I have a different perspective as a foreigner. We're planning to hold our dealer conference in India next year. And I can tell you that, well, when I've contacted hotels and other people, about half the time the websites are down, about half the time nobody answers an email, about half the time the phone numbers don't work. And so it's a change in the way of thought by the people that are in tourism. If you're, say, running river cruises in Goa, and a foreign tourist wants to buy a ticket and go on the river cruise, if they can't find you on the web, or they can't find you remotely or through their travel agent abroad, you can spend all the money to develop this, but something very basic like getting hotels to respond, getting people to respond to legitimate business.
Hard fact. So, yeah, that's actually a very good point. So,
Mahesh has
yes. Yes.
tickets available online.
Oh,
Right.
oh, that's wonderful. Okay.
You have your tickets booking available online, right? Everything is online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's great. All right. Okay. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here, as well as the closing comments. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah. And I'd like to welcome the CTO of Buoyancy Consultants, Mr. Ramnivas Moria, to felicitate our guests.